Good night, viewers, and welcome back to another week of Cricket Nation. I am your host, Gary Maffrey. With me, my co-host, Jamal James.
Sir.
How are you doing?
Doing well. The
Nice.
party has started.
Yes, the party has started. Matter of fact, we've been, 8 games in? Probably about 11 games in.
Right,
11
right.
games in, matter of fact. We have a lot to talk about in terms of the past games. So we'll talk about last week we spoke about about game 6.
Yes.
So from today we'll probably talk about from the game 6 to game 11, just have an
Yes.
analysis on those games, and then we'll preview the rest of the tournament also. A tournament that has been very, very interesting thus far in terms
Very
of
much
how the results have gone and how things have been. For me, Antigua Falcons been looking good.
Credit to you. Credit to you.
And I spoke about that. I did tell you about the Antigua Falcons, but we'll talk more about that. So far, we also have cricket in St. Lucia. The last match did not get to play because the weather intervened. But again, they play tomorrow. So we look forward to a very, very exciting game tomorrow. But let's just touch on game 6, the highlights between the St. Lucia Kings and the Patriots. Our technician have the highlights if they could just play that.
That's powered away.
As you can see that match.
Straight to the fielder.
Said hits. This is the acting. She's pushing that ball straight to right away. So.
Sweet sound. Quite belligerent from Johnson Charles.
So,
Another full toss. And Johnson Charles doesn't miss out.
First hit in the CPL and registered a half century. Pulling out those switch hits that he made famous in last year's edition.
Very much so. And again, beginning his CPL with a beautiful half century. As you can see, Team David finishing things off really, really well for the St. Lucia Kings.
Unfortunately that he wasn't able to get that half century.
Yes, a little bit unfortunate now. Waka Salam Kila has been really, really good in the CPL. Little wicket taker so far in the CPL, so he has been really, really good.
Yes, but
It's a beautiful catch being taken there by Orriston Chase. Fletcher been bowled down. Now, I'll tell you what, in that particular game, Carrie Pierre did a fantastic job opening the bowling for the St. Lucia Kings.
he was excellent.
Yes, and so far he has been really, really good.
I think things really changed when Shamsi was brought on and the long levers of Jason Holder really took toll.
I'll tell you what, Navin Bidesi. Talk to me about this youngster. Very exciting game, I might add. The Kings just winning.
That was an excellent start. Excellent start to the campaign for the Kings.
Very good start. But let's just talk a bit on how the Patriots ended up bringing that game back with the youngster, the under 23 player. He did play in the breakout league, and to see him play like that, what do you think of him?
I mean, his innings really underscored the beauty of our game. You know, our game is called a game of glorious uncertainties and shifting fortunes.
That's right.
By the time the game had started with the early wickets from Carrie Pierre, we basically thought that in the first 10 overs, the Kings, franchise change. The Kings, they would have done the business, they would have sealed it. But then when Jason Holder and Bidesi came in, Bidesi really showed something new. We saw glimpses of his talents and abilities in the breakout league.
Mm-hmm.
But this man showed that CPL has unearthed a gem.
Yes.
That was a quality innings.
Yes, very, very quality. For me, I think what was really, really good to see is how calm he was in the entire situation. Throughout the game, he looked very, very calm under pressure. He didn't look like he was bothered at all by the moment. I do feel, even the way he took on the game, I think he read the game quite well, because you could see whilst Jason Holder was batting with him, Jason Holder was the one taking the risk and actually middling some balls and getting some boundaries, and he was just there, just playing second fiddle. And as soon as Jason Holder got out, he took on the mantle. And again, he got used his fit really, really well to Shams. He got one off the middle, and then he just continued from there. So he played with some real intelligence throughout his innings. So it was really, really good to see the under 23 from the breakout league come out and perform the way that he performed. And you could see it's definitely one for the future. So I thought that was excellent in terms of how he went about playing. I thought the Antigua Patriot, not the Antigua, but the St. Kitts did really, really in terms of sending him up the order. And you could have seen, I thought it was a brave move from them. A lot of teams probably would not have exposed the under 23, especially in that situation. So I thought that was a really, really good move, and it actually paid off. For me, like I said, I was really impressed with his calm nature. I was really impressed with the way he read the situation. So I thought the tactical awareness, which is important, and we keep talking about, especially when it comes to our young cricketers, especially when it comes to our senior cricketers in the West Indies. Tactical awareness is one key thing, is a key thing that I think sometimes we lack, especially during pressure situations. But to see him come and sort of read the situation
in his first game,
in his first game on debut, sort of read the situation and know exactly how to act and exactly how to behave during that time was very, very impressive.
But mind you, Gary, he was brought in. I think many persons would have expected that this man was brought in for his leg spin bowling.
Yeah.
So much has been made of the breakout league, and the leg spinners being given the due opportunity to rise through the ranks. So do you think now, based on what this man has shown, that he is now ahead in the pecking order of leg spinners, albeit his batting came to the fore?
Yeah, well, not really. I wouldn't say that he's ahead in terms of the pecking order. We have not seen the other leg spinners exposed, maybe because of how their team is probably shaped up or how their team looks.
Wouldn't that mean that he's ahead, that they're actually showing faith in him?
Not necessarily. I do think, and again, maybe the St. Kitts Patriots, again, maybe with how their team is shaped and how they built their team, maybe it provides an avenue where he could get more play or more game time. For the rest of the other leg spinners within their teams, maybe it's a lot difficult for them to get into the squad, maybe because there are more senior leg spinners in that squad or senior mystery bowlers in their squad. So it kind of poses a little challenge for their coaches or the management to sort of get them into the squad. But I do feel, again, like you said, I would like to see, and I said that in the last show, I would like to see a lot more of those leg spinners be exposed to the T20 format and see how they behave under pressure. We've seen how Navin Bidesi could sort of behave under pressure. Obviously, it's still early days for him.
Yes.
So we still need to see how he sort of grows from there. I saw the last game that he played, and he really bowled. He bowled really, really well actually in the last game that they played, he bowled really well. So for me, it's just about seeing them growing from strength to strength, seeing them gaining that confidence to express themselves at T20 level. I'm hoping that the rest of the leg spinners that are within the respective franchises could at least get some game time and see what we're working with within the region, because I'm certainly sure even St. Lucia have, like I said, Mackenzie, I think is a brilliant talent. You have Motara from Barbados, who's also good, a very, very good talent, and the rest of the spinners, leg spinners that are within the franchises. So it would be good to see the leg spinners coming here and there. I do know when it comes to the franchises, maybe it's a horses for courses situation. Sometimes it's not always about the development, but it's about winning.
Yes.
It's about winning. So hopefully those leg spinners can get to play.
But speaking of Gary, the Kings, they won the game. But before that, there was so much talk about their batting order. What did you make of the composition of that order? You saw Tim Seifert was promoted to open in the batting, not where we saw him much last year, because Faf du Plessis was there. And Hakeem Mugis was given the nod to go in at number 3. What did you make of that?
I do think okay. So we've seen Hakeem sort of opening the batting throughout franchise cricket, not franchise cricket, but the 4-day component of our the 4-day component and in the 1-day component. So he has been opening the batting. Last season he was batting at 3 for the Kings at times. Sometimes shifting him in 3, 4, 5 at times. He was batting. I think he's matured enough where he should be batting at 3. He should be batting at 3 a lot more consistently. for the Kings. I do really believe it's in terms of what we have with the loss of Faf, I do believe it's a brilliant move for them to have Tim Seifert come up the order. I can't believe last season I was asking for him to come up the order because I thought at times that he was batting a little too low. I think they've done that. He's gotten some stats. It's just he just need to convert them into some 60s and 70s. But I think that he's done fantastically well in terms of in terms of how he's gotten them to start and how he's accompanied Johnson Charles up the order. I mean, it's less pressure on Johnson Charles to take the risk because he's himself taking some risk. He looks like he's in good nick. So I think it's only a matter of time before he could get a big score for the St. Lucia Kings. I do believe that Akimoge should stay at 3 regardless of the situation. I think he should stay at 3 because I do believe that his game has evolved to a point where he could hit the big ones. He could hit the big ones also, and he could take strike very, very well. So I do believe that he should stay at 3. And then you look at, because of the way that the middle is for the St. Lucia Kings, I do believe that experience in the middle with Royston Chase coming down in the middle with David Visser in the middle. I think then Tim David, those 3 there, that is very, very essential for the St. Lucia Kings if they are to sort of chase some huge totals, or if they are to sort of build some huge totals.
But at the same time, many persons are watching it differently. In terms of last year, Tim Seifert was instrumental in the lifting of the title based on his performances in the middle order.
Yeah.
So many persons would have thought that he would have maintained that position and maybe an Akimogist or someone else would have been given the opportunity to open. Do you feel that might have messed with things a bit and would have exposed maybe a weakened underbelly in the middle order?
From my perspective, maybe you have a point there. I do believe they have enough in the middle, even on the bench. We have not seen the one who was instrumental in getting them to win the title, Aaron Jones, where he has not been able to get a game. Also, we have not seen guys like Sadrak, who's able Sadrak Deskat, who's able to do very, very well with the bat in the middle. And I think he has grown too with the amount of cricket that he's been able to play over the years and the amount of cricket that he's played at the CPL level. So for me, I do believe that they have enough in the tank. I mean, it's early days for them. It's early days for them. They have a couple of games that's rained out. But we'll talk about that more in the St. Lucia case. We have other highlights in terms of Game 7 between the Falcons and the Knight Riders. Interesting game. As you can see, Rakim Cornwall going great guns. Just getting caught. I think that's the second time that he's gotten caught between long on and long off.
Yes.
Beautiful delivery by Nathan Edwards, another youngster.
Edwards getting his opportunity and did well.
Very well.
But for me, this man here, Tariq, he's been a difference. He's brought something new, something different, something special to the CPL.
Very much so. But I'll tell you what, Allen played a beautiful inning there to get his team to a formidable total. I'll tell you what, he just reminded us of the quality that he possessed. As you can see, he got his team to 168.
Almost took the catch of the tournament there. And that's something that he's known for.
He's known for.
One of the best fielders in the region. But this dismissal was iconic. I think you would see that replay over and over again.
You could see Puran was fuming with himself there.
Darren Bravo didn't really set the world alight on his return to the CPL.
Not at all.
But Pollard was there with the power.
Oh yes, he has been really, really good. What do you make of the Antigua Falcons? I think they've been a surprise to you, not to me.
For sure.
Not for me.
I must admit that I was on air last week and I did mention that I thought this was a David versus Goliath match, and everything was, it was just looking as if Trinidad would have just walked over these guys. But we know that cricket doesn't play like that. But it just appeared like that would have happened. But this Antigua team, they really stepped up.
Yeah, they did. And again, there's new management in terms of the coach.
Right.
And you could have heard some of the players from the Falcons team. They've spoken about the change in the environment, the change in the dressing room, more relaxed dressing rooms where players are able to express themselves, and you could see it in terms of the way that Gore comes out to play.
Yes.
Gore has been a surprise to many in terms of how he's been able. Yes, in terms of what he's been able to do in the tournament so far. So for me, that's indicative of how the dressing room is sort of set up, and what the management staff has allowed in terms of just allowing the players to sort of express themselves. I think the Antigua Falcons have been fantastic in terms of how those guys have gone out and actually believe in themselves, believe in their skills. And you could see that they're backed by the management, they're backed by the ownership, and you could see every single person, including the legend Viv Richards, every single person. The Prime Minister was there at their last game when they won. You could see they lost the game and to bounce back and come back and win. Says a lot about the team, says a lot about the character within that team. So for me, I do believe again that the Antigua Falcons, like I said to you, have everything to gain and nothing to lose when they come up against the different oppositions. So far, they've been able to stay at the top of the table since the inception because of the games that they've won. They've played about 6 games, so they've played quite a bit. But with that, they've been able to accumulate some points, been able to have some really, really good victories to keep them at the top. And to see how the local players in terms of Gore, Kareem Gore, Joel Andrew,
Raheem
Cornwall, and just the local boys are able to get their team to win games, I think is fantastic. I think they've been led very, very well by Imad Wazim also.
I was just going to come to that because, Gary, a lot of talk has been made about overseas players leading the teams. Yeah. Many persons felt that we have enough local talent in the region, many leaders that we could groom, but we have brought in overseas players to handle the job. Yeah. But this man has answered the call and has led exceptionally well.
Yeah, and for me, Imad Wazim has been part of the CPL for quite a while.
Yes.
Part of this person is almost like he's been looked at as a local, but for me, it just goes to show, the belief that he's been able to instill in his players. I think the environment that they've been able to create in that team to allow those players to go out and play as freely and enjoy what they're doing on the field, I think is very, very important. And you could see that it's paying off in terms of the way that those guys are going out to play, the way that they believe in each other, I think is key. So for me, I'm super happy to see, like you said, it was a David versus Goliath, so it's good to see David triumph there, and they continue to do so. But kudos to them.
Yes,
they will be in St. Lucia soon. Also playing against the St. Lucia Kings.
They'll have their time
very soon, so they'll have the time here. But let's move on to game 8. We have the Patriots against the Barbados Royals. Barbados Royals have not been able to kick off the tournament how they would have liked.
But sometimes that can also be dangerous because we've seen this many times.
Yes.
Teams can get off to a slow start. I think you were just discussing with the viewers as well that it's not how you start sometimes.
It's how you finish.
But teams which go well in the middle towards the end tend to win titles.
Very much so. I do believe it's you have teams who start off hot and then cool off at the wrong time of the tournament. I think the business end of the tournament is when you want to start heating up. And I do think if the Barbados Royals are able to get their mojo or able to pick the right 11, I don't think they've settled on the 11 that they feel could make them win. So they're still sort of looking at that.
Yeah, so
They had a target of 175.
But Jason Holder has been a talismanic leader.
Oh yes, very
Bat
much so.
and ball, he's been a standout. And this is a game where you said that with Daisy.
Yes,
Look really good.
very good. As you can see, Allen just trying to hit that one over the boundary for 6, but being caught. And I thought that was where the game ended up changing. When Powell got out with that delivery there, that's when the game changed. But Jason Holder, he has been fantastic for the not the Kings, the Patriots.
He's leading in all regards.
Oh yes, he's leading. He's leading from the front, and I do think that he epitomizes leading from the front.
Yes.
From the front, I think Jason Holder. I think that was a very good move for Jason, moving from Barbados to go to the Patriots. The Patriots needed a leader like that, and as you can see, he's been fantastic. He's relished that sort of opportunity, that job that he's gotten. I think he's done a fantastic job in terms of leading, getting his team together, and getting them to believe in each other, getting them to believe that they can win, they could win this tournament. You could hear it in the interviews, you could hear it from those players also. But
this has been a team which has been down and out for many seasons. They've been the whipping boys of the CPL. So it's good to see that they've had some fresh faces, fresh legs on the block, and excellently led by an experienced captain in Jason Holder.
Yes, I think his performances for maybe the last year, Jason Holder, that has been fantastic. I think he's come back into international cricket, and he's done very, very well for himself. He's done very well for the West Indies, and you could see so far is leading is the way he's performing is definitely going to go to that next World Cup in Sri Lanka if he continues performing the way he is.
So you would pencil Jason Holder in on the
definitely.
On the World Cup squad.
I would make a very, very bold statement. If Jason Holder continues to play the way he is playing, I will definitely pencil Jason Holder in the next World Cup, because you could, with the exception, Russell is retired. Name me one all-rounder within the West Indies that is doing what he's able to do, what he's been able to do the last year.
Well, Shepherd is the incumbent as well.
Well, he and Shepherd, obviously.
Shepherd has had performances that we will see. So.
Yeah, and we've seen both he and Shepherd play and the same team, right?
Greaves
but when you
has
look at
done
when you look at Jason Holder's economy rate and you compare it to bowling wise, and then you compare it to Romario Shepherd's,
he's been better.
Way better. You know, so for me, I personally would go with him. But that is one that is already penciled in for me. If his performances continue, I do not see a reason why he should be excluded from that squad, and I'll make that bold statement there. But we are due for a break. We will continue with some more cricket when we come back, Jamal. We'll be right back.
Need to open a bank account? There's no time to make the drive to stand in line. Get ready. Opening an account with Republic On Board is easy from anywhere at any time, even while waiting for a food order. So you don't have to skip lunch. Republic On Board. Fast, easy, secure. Visit www.republiconboard.com to open your account today.
PBF, as I understand its performance-based financing, I think it's very good because at a time when the country is suffering from issues of non-communicable disease, especially in the areas of hypertension and diabetes, the outreach program, I think, indicates the government and generally the attempt to curb these diseases. Well, I am not diabetic or hypertensive. It was good that the test was done, and I went through it and proved it. And for me also that it was done free. I didn't have to go to a medical doctor or go to Castries or whatever. For communities where ancillary, for example, some people may not afford the money to afford to go to a private doctor, and so having that outreach where they have no cost is borne to get the services, I think it's wonderful.
This September, the world's fastest, strongest and fiercest athletes converge on Tokyo. Over 2,000 competitors, nearly 200 nations, one global stage, one ultimate goal, glory. At the center of it all, Olympic champion Julian Alfred ready to strike World Championship gold. The drama, the passion, the unforgettable moments. Catch it all, exclusively on Winners TV. World Athletics Championships, Tokyo 25, September 12th to 21st. Be there when history is made, exclusively on Winners TV, where champions play.
Welcome back to more Cricket Nation. Previously we were discussing, we were talking about the games that have gone up to game 8. Yes. We still have some more highlights to talk about. We still have some more. So we'll move to game 9. We'll discuss between the Warriors and the Falcons, where the Warriors really
asserted some dominance.
Yeah, they really asserted some real dominance on the Antigua Falcons.
I think leading up to that game, Obed McCoy had been a standout bowler, and there was definitely some buzz, some talks about him, maybe even returning to the international fold, picking up lots of wickets. And he would have been expected to have led the way with the ball in hand, but wasn't to be. The brilliance of Hope and Hetmeyer of our international players really put the noses of the Amazon Warriors in front.
Yeah, I think Romario Shepherd came in towards the back end, and let me tell you, the Antigua Falcons could not stop the hemorrhaging when he started going. As you could see, Cornwall started off well, but a brilliant catch was taken there by Moti.
That's a top catch. Good. Joel Andrew showed some class.
Too, and Joel Andrews getting bowled down behind his back there, and that was when it was done with Obed McCoy. Getting bowled by Imran Taye. Imran Taye just picking up 5 for 21, his best bowling figures in T20 cricket. What do you make of Imran Taye?
I mean, to perform your best at age over 40 years old,
yes,
speaks to the talent, the longevity of the man.
I think
the overall skill.
And in terms of the two games the Guyana Amazon Warriors have played, they've looked really dominant in those two games. So for me, I do think, again, one of the teams, we've spoken about them and we couldn't give them enough praise in terms of the amount of consistency that they've shown throughout the CPL. They started off the CPL very well with 2 wins in 2 games, and they've looked very dominant. I've not seen them, they have not been challenged as yet by any team. They've been able to just sort of, not, I wouldn't say walk over, but almost, walk to victory. So for me, I do believe that they've one of the teams to beat in this tournament. They've always been a team to beat, but this year they look very different. They look very dominant in terms of how they go in. They've gone in all 3 departments: batting, bowling, and fielding. I thought the fielding was brilliant in that last game in terms of the stops they were able to make, the way they put their bodies on the line, the catches they were able to take. I thought they were really good in the field, and sort of that sort of transcended into their bowling. So the way they batted sort of went into their bowling and went into the field, and see guys like Romario Shepherd early up, diving to save a boundary, and all of those things sort of add up towards the back end, and they really put pinned the Antigua Falcons down, and they show some real dominance.
Yes, and then these performances, in fact, when Guyana starts like that, it's hard to say that they will not be in the final. It almost seems to be an unwritten rule that somebody has to meet Guyana in the final.
I do think so too.
But then there's so much of our local talent in the Guyana team. They have some of the best players that we have in the region. So you have Shamar Joseph. He covers the base in terms of pace. You have the spin department covered. Hope has been our best bat in recent times, racking up international centuries. Hetmeyer has come to the fore and representing Guyana. So it's a very tough team. Yes, Shepherd, the finisher. We saw that there on the biggest stage in T20. Some say the IPL. Where he did that there for RCB.
Currently, I do not think there's anybody who does it better than him in terms of finishing, because he is able to come from ball 1, come in, and ball 1 and he's been able to hit 4s and 6s. I think what's impressive too is the way he comes in and he reads the situation of the game, and then he acts accordingly. I think even when, the situations when the team is in trouble, you could see he bats differently. He gets himself in, and then he ensures that he tries to take the team to something respectable. When they are up, you could see he keeps pounding,
the pressure,
yes, and keep piling the pressure. So I think he's a much improved player. I think and I've always said his batting. I do think that he could come up the order for West Indies at international cricket. I do think that he has very good defense. He could play proper cricket shots when he's ready. So I do believe that he has all of the attributes of a fantastic all-rounder, and we've seen.
So you're telling the viewers again, that's another man that you have penciled in for the World Cup squad?
Yes, barring injury, definitely is another one that I penciled in, barring injury for the World Cup. But with that being said, I'm just saying with the Guyana squad, we've seen in recent times, Moti has not been in form at international level. When you see how he came into the Guyana
ball,
with the ball, with the bat, he has been good. But with the ball, we've seen a few games at international level that he's gone for a few and he's not been himself. But it's good to see him come down to come to CPL and sort of get his groove back. So he's coming back slowly but surely. And that's something that all West Indians would love to see, especially when he's playing international cricket. But Guyana so far has been superb in terms of the way they've played for the first two games, right? One of the things that you don't want to see, again, and we've spoken about that, is that they win all of their games, and the games that really matter towards the back end of the tournament is when they start blowing a lot colder.
Well, they have the experience.
But they have the experience. Like I said, I do think they have the artillery. I think they have the personnel within their squad. I think their squad was picked very, very intelligently. If you look at, they have all of their bases covered. I think there's consistency with their squad
for sure.
In terms of the personnel. So again, they have everything going for them. So it will be
for all conditions.
It will be good to see how they perform. They perform in these conditions in St. Lucia tomorrow.
Yes.
A fantastic pitch. It will be good to see how they come out and perform. We know Tyre will always be Tyre in terms of how he's gone out and perform, and in terms of the consistency that he's shown throughout his tenure at CPL and just through the years. So we know what to expect from him. But I do think the Guyana team, well-oiled unit.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to the contest between Johnson Charles and Shamar Joseph at the top.
Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Maybe that would be a bowler that he's probably used to, especially practicing against him at international level too. But it all left to say that would be a really, really good matchup to see the two to see how he goes about playing Shamar Joseph, and how Shamar Joseph goes about acquitting himself on that surface too. So that would be important. Let's move to the next game, game 10, where the Kings took on the Knight Riders right here in St. Lucia.
What a match that was.
What a match. As you can see, Colin Monroe started off well. Hales just...
Yes, in recent times, the Hills has gotten a bit cold, blown a bit cold for Trinidad. But that man, Pollard, red hot for.
Very much so. Very much so. And when he plays in St. Lucia, it's a ground that he loves to play on.
He loves to antagonize the crowd.
Very much so.
There's always a byplay between Pollard and the spectators.
Gaston just picking up his first CPL wicket, poor run, and then getting Andrew Russell out, and then doing Superman stuff there, and then getting his own run out. As you can see, Tim Seifert started off the chase very, very well, hitting that ball top deck. Johnson Charles just reverse hit there, all the way into the Johnson Charles stand there. And Kenny Clark, our real St. Lucian, I thought he was fantastic in the field, Kenny Clark.
I think he definitely was a point of difference.
Yes.
In this game, especially his hitting towards the back end.
Towards the back end.
And this was the moment for me, because Johnson Charles was so close to the half century. Many people thought that he should have just played to get it and then take the attack to the bowlers. thereafter.
Yes, as you could see, St. Lucia Kings just finishing on 163, losing by what, 18 runs?
Right,
Yeah,
but then
18 runs thereabouts. What do you make of that game? For me, what were the things that if you were coach that you would have done differently as it pertains to the Kings squad?
To the Kings squad. Well, I felt that in the first game they played and won, they had shown some investment in August. He was batting at number 3, but then he took a first ball duck. So I felt that they would have stuck with him, because you've mentioned so many times to the viewers that it's important that players be given room to express themselves, and after 1 or 2 failures, they will still have that security knowing that the position will be their position. So for me, after the openers did well, the platform was laid. Maybe we probably went in a bit of panic mode, and then we did not let the youngster have the opportunity. So I would have probably given him that opportunity at 3. I would have kept him there.
So you'd have kept the order the same. Instead of sending Chase up the order, Chase at 3, you would have kept Akim August at 3.
Funny, yeah. But I understood the decision because Chase had done so well for us at the international level in recent times.
Yeah.
Tim David had done exceptionally well for Australia at number 4 in recent times. So the order did make sense. But you could have even slotted August at number 5, because for me, Delano Porgita had been struggling.
Yeah.
But the moment that August came out, there was some intent about his batting that we did not see from the South African. So he could have taken up that slot.
Yeah.
For me, there were a lot of things I would have done different in the bowling, but the coach doesn't have that much say on that. The captain on the field has to maneuver that. Carey Pierre did not bowl out.
Yeah.
And he had bowled well.
Yeah, I mean, they were, in the first over, there were quite a couple catches were put down off of his bowl, and I thought he was fantastic in terms of the way that he's been able to bowl in the power play for the Kings. I think right now, he's doing a much better job than Akil Hussein is doing for the Trinidad Knight Riders. I do think in terms of his economy rate in the power play, the way he's been able to execute his skills to perfection, I think his lines and lengths has been impeccable. So for me, I do think that he's done a fantastic job. Other than the couple catches that was put down off of his bowl, and to no fault of his, like I said, the way his figures did not reflect how he bowled in that particular game against the Trinidad Knight Riders, because a couple catches, a couple misfields off of his bowling early up. And it could have frustrated him a little bit, but I do think that his lines and length has been impeccable in terms of how he's been able to execute his skills and be able to land the ball exactly where he wants to land it. So kudos to him on that. Like I said, in the last game, his figures did not reflect how good he bowled. Maybe he could have bowled one more, but I'm kind of, in terms of, you talk about the middle, I could have understood the reasoning behind Darren sending Chase up the order, because of the order at that particular time. It made sense, because when you looked at the last game, Chase got 50 odd in quick time. And the openers did put down a really, really nice platform. So you just wanted Chase to sort of just continue with the form that he had shown in the last game, because he got some time out in the middle. So they could have said he got some time out in the middle in the last game. So you wanted him to capitalize, and Akim on the other hand did not get, in the first ball he got out. But we do know what he's capable of. On the other hand, you could have just said maybe you give him the instructions that you need to give him, and just ask Akim to just continue playing the way we know he could play, because like I said, we know that he could hit boundaries. I think that he's improved immensely.
Demonstrated that. He showed that.
Exactly. He's improved.
20 of 9.
Exactly. He's improved immensely in terms of his batting. So I did not think it would have done too much damage. In hindsight, maybe they could have just let Akim, when looking at how the game turned out, they could have just let Akim.
Hindsight is the best side.
They could have just let Akim go and then just leave the middle a little more compact with that sort of experience that they would have need if you realize that you need 10 and 12 runs and over. And that's where the game had gotten to, where it had gotten to a point where they needed 12 runs and over. And the only person that was there to sort of see if they could have gotten them over the line was Tim David. where he had that controversial decision being made.
That decision, what do you make of that decision?
Well, from what I saw, and again, when you hear the explanation from the commentary or from the commentators, then you could understand why he was put out in terms of the edge. And again, we all could have seen in some of the clips or some of the clips you could have seen on some occasions where the ball was far from the bat, but as it went on,
I mean,
and again, I just thought at that time, yes, Team David could have gotten the St. Lucia Kings over the line. At that time, I think it was about 12 runs and over already. And the onus was really and truly, you would have looked at him to do the heavy lifting for you. So he would have had to continue hitting 12 runs and over throughout the rest of the overs. Yes, you still, and then you would look at the Trinidad team, they still had 1 over from their mystery spinner left. So all of those things, could have made it a lot more difficult. Like I said, I do believe you spoke about the South African player in Port Gaita. I do believe maybe that is somebody that they have to look at in the playing 11, because if he's not bowling and he's not contributing too much with the bat, then I do think that they need to have a good look at him. Because you have the likes of guys like Sajak on the bench. You have Aaron Jones on the bench. So there are choices and good choices on the bench that you could make. And then if you want added bowling, you have the added bowling of Sajak, who could also bat down in the middle, also provide some heavy lifting towards the back end for you. So hopefully they make those. I'm certainly sure they will be looking at their squad closely, because they cannot afford to lose too many games again, because they've been a little unfortunate in terms of the weather intervening for 2 games, where they've not been able to get maximum points out of it. So it's getting in the next 2 games would be pivotal for them.
But I would like for you to put on your coach's hat for the viewers. Now that you have seen that, when the rate gets a bit too high for the Kings, it just seems as if Team David is the only one with the skill set to muscle those balls beyond the boundary to get you a rate of 11 and beyond. Don't you think it would be a good move to make the shift now of getting Tim Seifert from the top of the order and slotting him back into the middle?
Yes. From one, yes, you could probably do that. But the other thing too I do think that is applying a little bit of pressure on the middle order is the fact that the captain, David Wisser, does not look like he's in good nick at this current time. It does not look like he's in good nick. I mean, if David Wisser was in the nick that he was last season, then we would be talking a different ball game now. But he's not in the nick that the Kings would like him to be. So that's putting a huge amount of pressure on the middle to lower order. The other thing is too, there's a huge responsibility on Johnson Charles to get them off to some usage with the absence of Faf du Plessis, right? That poses a lot of pressure on his shoulder to ensure that he gets this team off to a very, very good start. And again, like I said, a lot of responsibility is on him with the batting. And you could see the middle is a little bit flimsy for me.
It looks a bit bad.
Yes, I do think, like I said, if you could get guys like Chase and Chase has been doing well. This one game, this game he wasn't able to get off. But you would need him to get off a lot more consistently if they are to make some serious runs, especially for the latter part.
But did you feel that Tim David batted too early? And if Tim David goes in at 4, and let's say again, because there are quality bowlers in the CPL, if Tim David goes in at number 4 and he gets out early, whose responsibility is it to play that finishing role, to add the flourish?
And you have him there as the finisher. And one of the problems that, especially that they've been able to face, is the fact that when you lose wickets early, then that means Tim David would have to come in earlier, right? So that sort of puts more pressure on your batting order, because Tim David now would have to bat differently. Because if he comes in, 10 more overs left, 9 more overs left, 8 more overs left, it's a lot of work for him to do, especially if you are chasing. I mean, if you are setting a target, maybe that's a little bit different in terms of his approach. But when you are chasing and then you have him, you lose 3-4 wickets early, and then he has to come in a lot earlier than you would have anticipated. Then it sort of creates an issue on your batting lineup where he has to play very, very differently. And the fact that David Visser, which is the captain, who's not in the nick that you want him with the bat, I think he's been good with the ball other than that last game. But I do think that that also is sort of creating a little issue for them with their batting lineup. And then they don't have the likes of guys, the cushion of having the batting of a Sajrak or even an Aaron Jones in the middle order, because they aren't able to find a space or a place for them in the first 11. So I think they have to be very, very meticulous, make some brave moves in terms of how they go about picking their first 11 for the next game, especially against Guyana. One thing that you don't want to do, sort of give guys 1 or 2 games and then they have not had ample opportunities, and give them 1 or 2 games and then you discard them from the playing 11. That sort of is another tricky situation. But I do feel that they have everything, they have what it takes. They have to make some brave decisions in terms of their first 11, especially for the next game, because I think that game against Guyana is a pivotal game for them tomorrow to win. They win that game and they would give them a lot of confidence moving forward. They lose that game and it would be a different ball game coming from here. And Antigua Falcons is coming to St. Lucia with a lot of confidence, winning the last game that they won there. So it's not going to be a walkover by any stretch of the imagination in terms of, because they're table toppers right now. So they have all of that confidence coming into St. Lucia with. So it will be a challenge for them. St. Lucia would have to play out of their skins. I do believe they have all of the quality within their squad to do that and to win both games. I think they could hand Guyana their first loss, depending on how they select their squad. They select their first 11.
It's cricket, glorious uncertainties.
That's right.
But what further compounds the issue is the absence of Alzari Joseph.
Yes.
He gives you some batting cushion. Yes. He's someone there who can get the ball over the ropes, and he has decent technique. You also don't have Matthew Ford. Yeah. You brought in O'Shane Thomas, who we know that his batting ability.
But I do believe, speaking of O'Shane Thomas, I do believe that he bowled towards the back end when he came back. I think he bowled really well. He bowled quick. He bowled with pace. You could have seen both Pollard and Puran refused to take him on. They were just nudging him around. I thought that was very intelligent batting by the pair. So maybe it's something that the other teams could look at whilst playing St. Lucia. So we'll go to the next highlight, where the Patriots took on the Falcons. Fletcher just getting out there.
Jaden Seals
again.
Wicket taking form. And again, that problem that we had discussed about the St. Kitts team. A weekend and the belly, so many top order batters in the lineup. They've tried to get Mohamed Rizwan into the team to address that. But Shakib Al-Hassan has been excellent.
Yes, picking up beautiful 3 wickets there, as you can see.
And I think in this game, it was a historic game because Shakib Al-Hassan completed a double. He has over 500 wickets at T20 level and over 7,000 runs.
Yes. He's right up there in terms of all-rounders that have played the game.
He's been the #1 around in the world for a long time.
Yes, very long time. He played a fantastic hand in that game in particular too.
Cheeky, showing some good ingenuity.
As you can see, Navin Bidesi just have Fox in him there. Kareem Agor, another half century for the Antigua Falcons, another half century for them. So I do believe this boy, throughout the tournament, he continues like that. He has been, he's sort of letting people know what he can do and sort of putting his name out there. I think he's been fantastic with the way that he's come in and approached every situation. I do believe there are some situations, some innings that he got a half century that he could have gone on and get a lot more than he got. But he's been very consistent for the Antigua Falcons. One of the reasons, key persons behind them getting these victories that they've been able to get, and I think he's been outstanding throughout the tournament. I do not think too many people expected Kareem Magor to be up there. I think he's probably
been a surprise package,
one
sure.
or two, yes, in terms of so far. In terms of runs in that tournament, leading run scorers in the tournament, he is in the top 5. He's about 2 now. After that inning of 50, or they may have just gone up to number 1. We'll see that. But I do think the Antigua Falcons, they've been really, really good. I think Jaden Sales has led the pace attack very, very well. Started off with them
as
very
he
well.
has been at international level.
Obed McCoy, and you spoke about him earlier. I do think, with the exception of the one game, I do feel that he has been able. One of the key things that he's been able to stay on the park. We've seen before. Fitness has been an issue. He's been always he's been prone to injuries. But to see him, and he looks happy, just to see him be able to execute his skills, take wickets. And back himself, I think it's working for him right now. If he continues doing that, for sure. Maybe he will stake a claim for being in that World Cup squad if he's able to execute his skills the way he's been able to do so. So far, he's been able to pick up wickets at regular intervals.
So you have your pencil out.
My pencil is out, yeah, because you sort of need that variation, right? So far, we've been using Jediah Blades.
Exactly.
Right? Jediah Blades has not been able to feature too much in his squad. He's not been able to put out the performances that Obed McCoy has been able to put out, right? So maybe my pencil is just out pending the way that he continues to perform in the CPL. But we're due for a break. When we come back, we'll discuss some more cricket.
It's CPL. It's CPL time. CPL we're rolling. CPL we're all in. Man, girl and boy, feel the CPL joy from every nation in the Caribbean. Larger than life, we're building legends in this Caribbean nation. We're all in. It's CPL time.
We're all in. Republic Bank, title sponsor and official bank of the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League.
We had to do blood tests and we had to travel all the way to Soufrière, sometimes to Castries. Sometimes you don't have the money to do it. The PBF program, I was very pleased about it because there is a lot of things that going on and Canaries doesn't get the ability to be in it. So a lot of we young people, old people will get to get tested and know what they have or what not. I had it done. I was pleased with my results. I'm calling out to y'all, especially the men of Canaries, come and have the test done so y'all will know what y'all have. It's better to do it early than late.
This September, the world's fastest, strongest and fiercest athletes converge on Tokyo. Over 2,000 competitors, nearly 200 nations, one global stage, one ultimate goal, glory. At the center of it all, Commonwealth Games champion Sade Williams ready to strike World Championship gold. The drama, the passion, the unforgettable moments. Catch it all exclusively on Winners TV. World Athletics Championships Tokyo 25, September 13th to 21st. Be there when history is made, only on Winners TV, where champions play.
Good night again to our wonderful viewers. Prior to the break, Jamal and I, we had an interesting discussion on the different teams and how they fared so far in the tournament, in the tournament. I do think that, again, if we look at the table, the Antigua Falcons, there's been a bit of consistency coming from them. I think the most consistent team has been Guyana. They've only played the two, right? So they're second, 2-2. Hopefully, they play against the Kings. We'll see how they fare against the Kings. The Kings are at home, so the Kings would have had that advantage. And we'll see how they fare. But there's in terms of the preview for tomorrow, Kings against the Warriors. What do you make of it?
You just feel
Well,
that
not tomorrow, tonight.
the Kings
Yeah.
are a wounded team. Having lost that last game against TKR, they were really undone by the spinners, of which the Guyana Amazon team, they have an abundance of high quality as well. Tahe is coming from a 5-wicket haul, fresh from that. There's Moeen Ali. You also have, am I missing someone in the Guyana team?
And Moeen Ali almost did not bowl in the last game. Well, he did not
Right.
bowl in the last game, so there was no use for him. So you look at guys like Moeen Ali, who was, not being able to sort of bowl as often because of the way Guyana has been able to win. I think the bowling has been really, really good. I think Shepherd, to a certain degree, for this year, he's been really good. In terms of his economy rate has been good for the Guyana.
Moti has come
Moti
to his
has
own.
been really, really good. So in terms of their bowlers, I do think that they have it covered. St. Lucia tonight, different pitch. It will be interesting. It will be how they fare against them and on that pitch, how they bowl, because in St. Lucia your lines for me as a bowler has to be very, very precise. There must be a lot of consistency in terms of your lines and lengths for you to be economical or for you to even bowl really well on a pitch like that, because we know how good it is for batting.
Yes, but Guyana is a team that they do their homework. They would not have been the most consistent team in the CPL if they don't. They really study the opposition. And I just feel that given the loss that the Kings have had at home, you felt that the Kings lost the crowd. The St. Lucian crowd, they're very peculiar. When you're winning, they're right behind you. But when the team is not doing so well, the stadium, sorry to say, it just empties in a very quick time before the game is even done. So this game takes place during the week. So we're not sure if the stadium will be as packed. And usually when you have the Guyana game at the Darren Sammy Cricket Stadium there, it's more packed with Guyanese supporters. So I don't really feel that the Kings would have too much of a home advantage playing against Guyana. And they are a bit weakened right now, and the Guyana is on a high. Especially since they'd have done the homework and they'd have known that there is a weakened underbelly in that middle order. That if they can pick up early wickets, especially that of Johnson Charles, who they rely on heavily, Roston Chase and Tim David. So you just feel that if Guyana, going into this game, they may have the advantage. I have to choose my words carefully since I lost on that pronouncement against Antigua.
And again, they've seen the St. Lucia Kings and sort of and vice versa. I think the Kings have seen them. I do think it's a situation where the team that is more proactive in their planning as opposed to being reactive will do well in that game, or would have the advantage. So for me, I do think it's about how the Kings go about planning and against Guyana. I do think it's a horses for courses situation. I do think that there are some players on their bench that they need to have a look at, especially, and like I said, I think they need to have a look at Podgaita. I don't think he's bowled yet. We have not seen him with the ball. Not sure if it's because of injury and they're playing him totally as a batter. We're not sure if it's because of an injury that Sajak has not been able to play. We don't know what is actually happening, but I would like to see that middle a lot more compact, because so far, for me, it does look a little bit flimsy,
Yes,
flimsy
it
in
looks
the middle,
short
and
batting
towards
ability.
the back end in terms of doing the heavy lifting with Team David. We need somebody in the back. St. Lucia Kings need somebody in the back to do the heavy lifting.
But Guyana
they
is not
know
short of that.
they exactly, and they know that they would have their work cut out for them, especially as it pertains to Guyana. Guyana, like you just said, is coming off of a high. They've won 2 out of 2. They've been very, very consistent. They've been very dominant in terms of how they've been able to get those wins. They're coming off of a victory in the global.
That's right.
In the global league. So you could see that they've been playing all of the time coming into that tournament. So they're not short of playing time, right? They're not short of playing time. You could see that they're almost the very same team, with the exception, I mean, Johnson Charles played for them in the Global League.
Right.
But Johnson Charles would have an idea of, all of the bowlers also. So maybe that's an advantage that he could use in terms of the discussions within their team meetings, and let them know how to plan against the different bowlers and what they're capable of doing, if they don't have that information. But now that information should be all, should be everywhere. But I do believe it would be a very, very exciting game.
That's for sure.
It will be a very exciting game between the Kings and Guyana. I do think, again, you talk about the home crowd. I do think St. Lucians, as much as they would empty out the stadium or they would leave if they notice that the Kings would be on the losing end. But I do think there's a lot of loyalty when it comes to supporting the St. Lucia Kings.
That
I
is
do
true.
think we will get a lot of support in that game. I do think, for me, we know Guyana has a huge following. There's a lot of Guyanese all around the world. So I do think that there will be a huge following tomorrow, and it would be an exciting game. I do think they will have some packed stands in that game. But let's look at the next game. We'll look at the Falcons against the Knight Riders. Another important game for both teams. I do believe the Falcons would want to stamp their authority and stay at the top of the table. And so too the Knight Riders who want to keep going up the table. So very important game for both teams. Jamal, what do you have your money on here?
Well, last time they faced each other, the Falcons definitely pulled off what many would have considered to be a major upset.
Right.
But you just feel that maybe with the bowling form that Trinidad is in right now, Usman Tariq has been an X factor in this year's CPL.
Yep.
His variation, he really outfoxed some of the batters from the Kings.
That match would be playing in Trinidad.
Right, but still.
No, I'm just asking. I wanted to know where that match is playing. I do believe it's in Trinidad.
Right, his bowling form, and especially if the wicket offers a bit of spin, this man will certainly get a lot of deviation from the surface.
Very much so.
And you would see more variation from him. You didn't really see much of his googlies on the surface. But if he comes into his own, as will Akil Hussain, as will Sunil Narayan, on wickets that offer a bit of spin, you might just be tempted to give it to the Trinidadian team.
So you're going for Trinidad again this time?
All right.
Jamal.
Pollard has been in good form. Puran has yet to come to the party the way that we know. So you just feel that with him, given his talents, it's a matter of time before Puran steps up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I do believe. I don't think Puran is in the type of form that he would want to be. I don't think he's in the type of form that Trinidad would want him to be. You could have seen in the game against the Kings that he was just trying to stay in and sort of, just get a score, knock the ball around, and just try to see if he could get a score and get himself in nick. And I guess that's what you do when you're out of nick. You sort of stay around, because the only place you get form is right in the middle. So you could have seen that he was working towards that. I do believe that Pollard has been incredible for them in terms of how he's gone out and performed for the Trinidad. But I do believe that there's a little bit of concern with their batting. You get a couple wickets earlier. If Puran does not kick off, or he does not perform, he does not bat well on Pollard, you get him a little bit early. Then that batting, there's a bit of trouble that could or worry that it could cause.
Sunil Narayan is still
Sunil
there
Narayan now
back end.
is still batting way down the order. You could see in the last game he didn't even come into bat. They sent in McKenny Clark ahead of him. McKenny Clark didn't do a bad at all.
3 balls,
oh
12
my
runs.
God,
Yes.
he did very, very well. So fantastic stuff from McKenny Clark. Another St. Lucian too, playing for the Trinidad Knight Riders. But yes, you look at the batting of the Trinidad team, and you look at the top three. If you get them cheaply, suddenly that puts a lot of pressure on Pollard. It puts a lot of pressure on Pollard coming in the middle, which means he has to come in a lot earlier than normal, which is the same situation that the Kings find themselves in with Team David when it happens. So I mean, it's a situation where I'm certainly sure that they're looking at that. The Antigua Falcons would have the advantage going into that game, knowing that they've beaten them before this year. So maybe they would have that advantage, and the fact that both of them have they're coming off the back of a win. So both of them would go into that game with a lot of confidence and be very, very interesting match also. And again, I do think Antigua, who are table toppers now, have everything to gain and nothing to lose in that game. I do think it would be a very, very interesting matchup. I think it's an important game for both. I do think it's a situation where Antigua needs to win that game to sort of almost stamp the authority up there and ensure that they qualify. But again, we'll see how that game goes.
Looking forward to this one.
I'm really looking forward to that one. We go to the next game where the Kings will take on the Patriots on Thursday, 28th of August. What do you make of that game, Jamal?
You feel that that last game, the last encounter that they had, it came down to the wire. So that could indicate that there is not much between the two teams. A lot of players from the Windwards, players who know each other's games very well. Quite frankly, I'm a bit surprised that Afanez hasn't been given more of a run, especially given that he had done well for West Indies coming in.
I would like to think he's probably injured or something. It cannot be in the first game. He played 2 games. The first game he took his team to victory.
He did well, yes.
And the second game he didn't do well. He didn't get the score that he would have liked. But then he's out of the squad. So it has to be some form of injury that he's carrying.
I'm really hoping so.
I'm really hoping that is the case, because I do not see with the team that the St. Kitts Patriots have that he cannot be in that first 11. Yeah, I cannot see it. Just putting my coach's hat on with the way that he's being able to perform.
But they've made some bold changes. Kyle Mayers has been dropped down to number 5, and that is where he has basically started to give some good run production.
Yeah. So I do think with the Patriots that they come up against the Kings. I'm certainly sure they will remember what transpired against the Kings, and see, they could take that going into the game, knowing that it was not a walkover, knowing that the Kings, it was a bit of a struggle to sort of beat them, and it had to happen in the last ball.
Right.
Yeah. So they would take that going into the game. Obviously, the Kings would obviously have the advantage going into that game, knowing that they've beaten them before. But I think what would be of paramount importance, is the fact that they need to win the other 2 games prior to going into that game. If they lose the other 2 games going into that game, then it poses, a bit of an issue for them. Then suddenly you'd have the Patriots at they're probably on the same scale. You'd see the 2 of them, on the same scale, and they would be fighting for those points in that game. But if we could just move on to the next game, where we have the Knight Riders taking on the Royals, the Barbados Royals. Now, the Barbados Royals, they've not been able to start the tournament the way they would have liked. What do you make of the Barbados squad, Jamal?
It's a good squad that was selected, and I think they're well led by Rothman Powell, and he has been impressive in the games that he has played, but things just hasn't clicked for them as yet. And I think that might make them more dangerous, because you just feel that they're having a slow start, but when they get that first victory, they might just motor on from there.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time again in this funny game called cricket.
Yeah, and it's a little bit unfortunate that they didn't get to play, against the Kings.
I was really looking forward to that.
Yes, I was looking forward to that. They have not had, a lot of game time. Matter of fact, they and the Guyana Amazon Warriors would have played the least amount of games so far. They played 3. They've had 3, and then the Guyana Amazon Warriors have played 2. So, the good thing is they have game in hand. They have games in hand to make up for that and hopefully get themselves to the top of the table. I do think, the pitches, on the surfaces that they've been able to play, it has not been a surface where Quinton de Kock could be as fluent as he would have liked in terms of his shot making.
I would have loved to have seen him in St. Lucia.
I would have loved to have seen him on a pitch in St. Lucia. I would love to have seen him against bowlers like O'Shane Thomas running in, and just those the quicker guys running in and just playing on a pitch like that. It would be very, very interesting to see how he went about playing there. But again, the weather intervened. Soon they will be moving to their home territory where they play their games at home. So they would feel good about going back home to play, and that maybe you could think they would have the advantage playing at home. I don't think, to be quite honest, when you're playing in the CPL, that any team has home advantage. To be quite honest, I personally feel with the way those teams are selected, you know, it's. I mean, you have the loud home crowds. You have the loud ones like Guyana, Trinidad, where they really support.
Lucia has been very loud.
Lucia has been very, very loud too. So for me, I do believe that these teams are so well picked and well balanced. It's very difficult to sort of just pick out who's going to win from the onset. But with that being said, I do think the Barbados Royals, they've not started their campaign yet in terms of getting a win. They will be looking for a win very, very soon and kick off their campaign from there. We'll go to the next game where the Knight Riders again versus the Warriors. Knight Riders take on the Warriors.
Always a big clash.
Always a big clash. So the Knight Riders will be playing back-to-back, 29th and 30th of August. It's always a huge match. I think that match should be taking place in Trinidad. In Trinidad, so I do think that will be a huge crowd there. Maybe it might be sold out at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium. It's always nice to watch these two teams come up against each other, because you are always in for a treat when Guyana plays against Trinidad.
Yes, you can anticipate intensity.
Yes?
Yes. I think that match takes place in Guyana.
Yes. Either Guyana or Trinidad, that match will take place.
But either way,
yes,
but spinners will definitely come into their own.
After that turn, after we finish preview the games, we'll probably look at the schedule after. But yeah, the spinners will definitely play a huge role. I do think against Trinidad, Trinidad and Guyana, if you are able to negotiate the spinners very well, then you're giving yourself an advantage. If you are not able to do that, then you are in for some real problems if you are not able to negotiate the spinners that they have in the middle, the spinners that they're going to have in the middle.
Likewise, if you can be brave enough to take the attack to those spinners there, you might just...
Exactly. We look at the next game would be the Kings against the Falcons. That would be the 31st of August. That game would be played in St. Lucia. The Kings against the Falcons. Again, what do you make of that game?
Well, Jaden Seals has been...
That would be the Falcons' final game.
So Seals versus Charles and Seifert at the top. And again, if the Kings do not address the middle order woes, the Falcons would definitely back Jaden Seals or even Imad Wazim, because we know that sometimes the batters struggle against high-quality spin at the start. They would feel if they can get those early wickets and cramp up the middle order, that they could have the better. This game will be played in the day. So you just feel again, I feel before I can make a pronouncement on this one, I want to see how they address team selection in the games we go.
I do think so. I do think one of the things that I sort of noticed with the Kings also is the depth bowling. It's something I think they need to look at. I think with Alzari not being in the squad, I think it does pose an issue with the depth bowling, especially he's been also. You have Keon Gasto who would be doing some depth bowling, and David Visa, and we saw what happened in the last game. Pollard took him to the cleaners. So I do think they have an issue with that in terms of trying to see if they could, work on that.
It's a lot to expect Keon Gasto in his debut season
to
do so much heavy lifting.
Yes, do the heavy lifting, and he has been bowling some very, very challenging overs. You look at
and he's been decent.
He's been decent. So it's good to show. It's good that the staff is showing that sort of belief in him and his skills. But I do think that that's something that they need to sort of back down on in terms of the depth bowling, something that they should look at also. All right. But with that being said, we move on to the final preliminary game where the Night Riders will take on the Patriots on Monday, 1st of September. Night Riders take on the Patriots. That will be also, that's a day game, that will also be at 11. So it will be a little taxing on the bodies. We know how hot it can be.
Yes.
I do think that game should be playing in Trinidad. Not sure if it's in Trinidad or in Guyana, but yeah, during the day I think it's a little bit taxing. That game would be played in Trinidad, that is. So you just, if the viewers could just take a look at the schedule there from Tuesday 26th of August, you see the St. Lucia Kings against Guyana, that's 7 at 7. Then you, on Wednesday 27th, TKR will take on Antigua at 7 in Trinidad. On the 28th, St. Lucia will take on St. Kitts in St. Lucia. On 29th, TKR will take on Barbados in Trinidad. On the 30th, TKR again they play back-to-back. They will take on the Guyana Amazon Warriors at 7 p.m. Then you have on the 41st, St. Lucia Kings will take on Antigua in St. Lucia, which would be the final home game. Then you have on Monday, 1st of September, TKR will take on St. Kitts Patriots at 11. That's a day game. St. Lucia, that game against the Antigua will be a day game in St. Lucia also. On Wednesday, on the 4th of September, TKR will take on St. Lucia Kings in Trinidad. So then they will go, Trinidad will play them at home. TKR again will be, Barbados will be taking on Guyana Amazon Warriors in Barbados at 7 p.m. On the 5th, on the 4th, that is, at 7 p.m. On the 5th, we have the Barbados Warriors playing Antigua, so they play back-to-back in Barbados. On the 6th, we have the Guyana Amazon Warriors taking on the Night Riders in Guyana. On the 7th, we have Barbados Warriors taking on St. Lucia Kings in Barbados at 11. That's an afternoon game. We have on the 7th again, we have Guyana Amazon Warriors taking on St. Kitts Patriots at 7 in Guyana. On the 10th, Guyana Amazon Warriors take on Antigua. They play back-to-back at 7. On the 11th of September, Barbados Royals take on St. Kitts in Barbados at 7. On the 12th, Barbados Royals again take on the TKR at 7 in Barbados. On the 13th, Guyana Amazon Warriors will take on St. Lucia Kings at 11 in Guyana. And the 14th, Guyana will take on Barbados Royals at 7 in Guyana. And then the eliminators will take place on Tuesday 16th, Wednesday 17th, and the grand finale. The Friday would be the qualifier 2, and then the finale takes place on the Sunday, I think that is, on the 21st. On the 21st of September.
And just looking at that schedule, that's why it's of pivotal importance to win away from home.
Yes.
And this just makes the Guyana team even more dangerous because they've won and they haven't even gone on the home soil as yet. But traditionally, they've thrived. That's why it's difficult to count Guyana out of the top 4.
Yeah.
But then that is why the Kings at home in St. Lucia for this leg need to
at least win 1 or 2.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't do at least win 1 or 2 where that would sort of, give them that momentum going on the road. We know how, difficult it can be winning on the road. Now, last season, the Kings had won all of the games on the road. Matter of fact, won all of the games. Yes. And you could see how they performed whilst they were on the road also. So it would be of paramount importance that they at least win 1 or 2 in St. Lucia and then go on the road with a lot more confidence. I think that would augur well for them if they could win the rest of the games that they have in St. Lucia. But with that being said, we've spoken about, we've talked a lot about the CPL. It's exciting times in the CPL. As the tournament goes on, it's getting a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting with teams, having to win or having to win to ensure that they get into the qualifiers. But again, like I said, exciting times in terms of the CPL. I'm excited to sort of even watch those games and be at those games in St. Lucia.
Yes.
I'm certainly sure you'd be at those games too, cheering the
God
St. Lucia
willing, I
Kings.
definitely will be there.
Cheering the St. Lucia Kings on. But always a pleasure discussing cricket with you and with our viewers. Always a pleasure having you guys listen to us. Come out in your numbers to support the St. Lucia Kings. Be that 12 man. We spoke about how important it is to support the St. Lucia Kings and ensure that you make that that stadium a lot louder than any other stadium in the region. And we just spur the Kings on to some victories here in St. Lucia. I think that's important, and they need us. They need the public, the St. Lucian public behind them in order.
Yes, and even if you're not supporting the St. Lucia Kings, come out and support good cricket.
Good cricket.
Standard has been fantastic.
Very much
you
so.
will be entertained either way, either team you support.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. Biggest party in sport. You come there, you support it. I think it's a lot of fun. You won't regret it if you're a first timer. You come and just come and watch it. Take in some night cricket. I'm certainly sure you'll enjoy it. There's a day game in St. Lucia also.
Yes.
Or if you're not a night person, you don't want to watch night cricket, you could come in and take in a day game, and I think it would be fantastic. So come out in your numbers. Come out and support good cricket. Come out and support the St. Lucia Kings if you can. And like Jamal said, even if you're not a supporter of the St. Lucia Kings, still come out and support good cricket.
Yes.
This is where we say good night, and we will see you guys next week.